What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and we got a panel today of three people. We've got Drew White.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Holy shit, going back in the day. It was like 2006, something like that. Yeah, zoom, zoom, zoom. We've got Robert DeFelice.
Hello.
And Callum Wiggins.
Just like John Cena in any match, we're calling all the spots.
That's exactly what we're doing here. Call the spot on the card if you don't know what it is, or call the spot as I probably should have called it instead of called the spot on the card because it's a long-ass title. But hey, you know, you live and learn. This is the 15th edition of it, although we've done more than 15 because we tend to do double editions and stuff, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to do two for the two Money in the Bank ladder matches. The first one here is going to be the women's participants, and then we're going to move on in another part for the men's participants, even though we don't know necessarily every single person that's on there, but we'll get to that when we get to that part. So, call the spot, the way that this works is we've got a limited amount of spots, and everybody has to go into some specific ranking. Normally, this is based off of 5 people. That's originally how this had started. It was Hall of Fame, main event, upper mid-card, jobber, and released. A very balanced out schedule, kind of. But they keep adding different people into the mix, and sometimes it's 6 people, sometimes it's 7. Now we're at a time where it's 8. So these 8 categories means I have to think of another category to add into the mix. This is getting harder and harder to do. As such, this is the new breakdown that we've got going on. The bottom is still the bottom of what we had before because you can't really get much worse than that, which is, we haven't really figured out a good name for it yet. I keep calling it either erased from history, nullified, or the Chris Benoit treatment, where the person is completely removed from everything that they have done ever in the history of the professional wrestling business. You just don't talk about them anymore, that kind of a thing. Excuse me. We also have released just above that, which is pretty standard. You know, I don't need to explain those kind of things. Jobber above that one. And then the new edition, lower mid-card, who that type of person is, I guess, kind of along the lines of Heath Slater to a certain extent. He is a jobber, but sometimes he can get a little bit more of a push. So
a European champion, essentially.
I'd say that that's more on the mid-card spot, the spot above that. But
This is the hardcore champion.
It's not somebody who is ever going to really necessarily be in the running to win a title, because the upper mid-card, that's the one that's most likely going to win the Intercontinental or United States, but the mid-card might get a chance for it. Lower mid-card isn't going to. They're not quite a jobber yet, but they're not going anywhere. I guess actually a good person for this could be like a Zack Ryder right now. Zack Ryder is in a flux between that lower mid-card and mid-card. So, something to take into account. Mojo Rawley, another lower mid-carder at the moment. So then we go up to mid-card, upper mid-card, main event, and then Hall of Fame. The trick with the Hall of Fame, we've mentioned this before, is they can still be on the roster, they could still be a main eventer, they could be essentially retired, however you want to mix it around, because you got to have some flexibility for this kind of thing, right? So our women's Money in the Bank participants, since we're doing the women's first, we've got in alphabetical order Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Ember Moon, Lana, Naomi, Natalya, and Sasha Banks. And goddamn, this was a hard one. Not as hard as the men, but I thought that this was a pretty difficult list because you erase people from history, it gets a little tough, and that's where we're going to start, bottom to the top. We might all agree on this one. I don't know for sure. At the very least, it's kind of hard for 4 people to agree, but I went with Lana for my erased.
As did I.
Anybody else go with Lana?
No.
Nope.
All right, so Rob and I, we can talk about this a little bit. What was your rationalization for Lana for the erased?
There was simply no one else for this spot. I had originally wanted her and Rusev to be in the same spots, but there's simply no one else who should get this treatment other than Lana. And I look at it like she'll be erased from history in the sense that, like, Tori was erased from history, you know? She was a good-looking... Not Tori Wilson, by the way. I'm talking about the one that was with DX in 99.
The first Tori.
You know, I can't see anyone else for this spot.
I probably have the hottest take for this one because I went with Becky Lynch.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's not a detriment to her as much as it is to anyone. Just essentially, the way I looked at it is I don't have much of an opinion of Lana yet because she's still new to wrestling. I want to give her a shot before I immediately erase her from history because I was debating between these two. But right now, I just think it just makes sense to have Lana at least in there just for the purpose of I want to see what she would do in this manner. And for Becky, I think she is the most overrated wrestler on the main roster.
Wow, buddy. I don't think a single person here is going to agree with you on that one.
Not so much by her wrestling ability, just this mystique. I don't think she's as good as a wrestler as people tend to give her credit for. I don't think she's a bad wrestler. I don't think she's an average wrestler. I think she's a good wrestler. But I feel like people kind of put her on a pedestal because she's a part of this 4 horsewomen for NXT thing. And to me, I always thought she was the weakest link. There was a reason why she was Sasha Banks, assistant or whatever it was for a while before she went on her own. There's a reason why she was kind of when they brought the 3 up for the women's revolution. There's a reason why, in my opinion, she was given the least amount of time and effort towards her character and towards her matches, and that was because she was the least developed and the least capable of performing good matches on it at the time. Which, by the way, anyone who knows me, I was tempted to also say Charlotte, but that's like but I actually like her now. I think she's actually a really good wrestler, and I kind of she's kind of up there for me, so I can't really get rid of her. But yeah, I went with Becky.
See, I went with Lana because in my Mercy rule, she's the one that's accomplished the least and contributed less to the wrestling industry because mostly what she's done has been a manager. And
yeah, but if you give it her, Rusev probably wouldn't have been as effective, or he might have not have went on that super long streak when he did get called up. She was a big part of his character at first, and this is how much. Also, you want to buy into Rusev as how good of a character he is. Is his character worth saving if you want to save Lana from being erased from history?
Yes, they've been separated on TV for about a year.
Spoiler alert.
I'm just saying in the very beginning of time. I'm saying if you didn't have Lana from the very beginning with Rusev, who knows if Rusev would be where he is now.
Spoiler alert, Rusev is my erased.
Ooh.
So
you were like me, you also wanted them on the same level.
Kinda. Because I mean, I look at Lana like this. As a manager, she had been fun once in a while, but I don't feel like she accomplished anything that really is going to be wow, she changed the wrestling industry or anything like that. And she could still model, she could still act. So CJ Perry, she'll be fine. The wrestling industry wouldn't be oh man, we lost something great with Lana, erasing, I don't know, Ric Flair from the business, it's Lana. But Callum, you don't have Lana or Becky Lynch, right? Who do you have?
No, I do not. I have Ember Moon.
It's reasonable.
You go along the lines of, like you were saying, Lana is the least consequential in your mind. I think Ember Moon, if there's one word that I would describe Ember Moon's time, not just in WWE, but NXT in general, it's inconsequential. She is one of the better wrestlers out of all of this list here. All of the 8 women, I put her definitely in the top half of women's wrestlers. She puts on very good matches. She has a fantastic finisher. But if she was to be erased from, and I'm going to say, I'm talking about WWE history. So if she was erased and she never ever appeared in WWE, nothing would have changed in WWE at all. She's the least consequential NXT champion. I think she's the worst NXT champion, NXT women's champion in its history. I think her time on the main roster, she hasn't done anything of note. So she doesn't really have anything going for her besides the fact that she is better in the ring than a lot of the women that are going to be competing in the match. And I don't think that's enough.
I'm going to change mine to Ember Moon.
Stick by your guns, Drew. Don't let me sway you.
That's actually a good point. No, you just made a very good point. And also, if it makes you feel better, Ember Moon was my release, so it's not like I'm changing that much.
Well, see, Ember Moon's my release too, and the reason why I went with Ember Moon for released instead of erasing her and putting Lana in the released, I really thought about it. That was tough. Is mostly, again, spoiler, because of the Rusev thing. And this sounds so ridiculous, but this is my philosophy. I did this list like a week and a half ago, so this was on my mind at the time. I was like, well, I can't figure out anybody other than Rusev to release. And if I'm going to release Rusev and Lana is in the company, what would Lana have done? If I release Lana, I mean, erase from history. If I erase Rusev and I erase Lana, then maybe the two of them will still find each other elsewhere. Like, I was kind of like, I'll mercy erase the two of them at the same time so they can be like in like a Thanos situation. I can just snap my finger, they can fade away and live happily ever after as like something else. Like that kind of thing. But Ember Moon's my release too. And Callum makes a good point about if you erase Ember Moon, what do you really lose? She had her feud with Asuka, and she didn't win it. She won the NXT Championship and lost it, like 2 title defenses later? Or maybe even the next title defense?
I mean, she only feuded with Shayna Baszler over the title. She had 1 title defense against Sonya Deville on NXT, but other than that, she only feuded with Shayna Baszler.
So essentially, she did just lose the title right off the bat because, who cares if you defend the title on NXT, and who cares if you fight somebody and you win by the skin of your teeth and then lose the next time you fight. They essentially just wasted a pay-per-view to drag out her feud a little longer. So Ember Moon hasn't really accomplished anything. So I can understand her being released. But I don't think anybody... Do we all agree on that? Like, Ember Moon is, like, out of all of ours? Or...
No.
Okay.
Becky Lynch is my release.
Man, Becky's getting some shit.
Well, Ember Moon's not my release anyway. She's my erase from history.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So now we're on erased. Now we're on released. God damn it, I'm losing track. There's too many goddamn categories at this point. All right, so erased from history. I have Lana. Robert has Lana. Drew has Becky. Callum has Ember Moon. I have Ember.
Drew that you wanted Ember there.
I have Ember Moon as my released. Drew flipped his. So, Drew, who's your released? Your Becky now?
No. I'm gonna keep it as is. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it original. I'll keep it OG.
So you're released as Ember.
I do like Callum's reasoning, though. I'll give him that.
Said my name properly as well. He must have really liked it.
Yeah.
So who's your release, Drew?
I released fucking Ember. I said it terribly, but yeah, Ember.
Instead of being released, she could be fired because it's Ember.
To dismember.
Only one Ember sparks a fire. Or whatever her theme song says.
Whatever I don't know fucking lyrics.
But my release is Becky because it was it's a tough list and somebody has to go. And you start to look at it somewhat realistically. And Natty's got a job for life. Charlotte's got a job for life. Ember is just starting to make her name. Alexa's a pretty big deal. And the reason I chose Becky is because I think Becky would be fine working the independents. As you guys were kind of saying before, Becky is seen as an underrated superstar in terms of her in-ring abilities. And I think she would do best to go like that Drew McIntyre route of, all right, I'm going to leave, hone my craft even more, make a few big indie paydays and make a bigger name for myself so I can come back and be a bigger deal than I am right now. That's my rationale for releasing Becky Lynch.
So who you got, Callum?
I have released Lana with the qualifier that I'm releasing her from her wrestler contract, and she'll come back and she'll be on an exclusive managerial contract.
You pain in the ass.
I'm the loophole guy. I'm just doing.
I do agree with that though.
I can't fault him. I've done loopholes like that before. So.
Yeah, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. But it's it's the sense that I don't think she's a very good wrestler, but as a character, I think she's stronger than Ember Moon. So I still think she has a lot of value to WWE, and she has a lot of value to Rusev, who, spoiler alert, I'm not going to be erasing from history or releasing. So if he's still around, I think Lana can do a good job for him.
You know what? I should throw a loophole in there. I'm going to erase Lana from history, but I'm going to make her, in retrospect, just CJ Perry. I'm going to erase the Lana character and keep the person. There you go. Release Ember Moon and make her fired son. I don't know. Wait, did everybody go for released? I'm tired.
Yeah.
Have you said your one? Have yours?
I'm Becky and Callum is Lana.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so now we're on Jobber. This is where it gets a little bit easier because at least they're still on the fucking roster. Poor everybody. My Jobber is Natalya. I've never been the absolute champion for Natalya. I think that she is somebody who deserves a lot of credit for a lot of different things, but I also think that she gets a little bit too much credit sometimes. She is awful with her characters. 90% of the time, I don't like her promos. And really, the only thing that's good about Natalya that I wouldn't want to get rid of is her wrestling talent. And even for the most part, when it comes to the wrestling talent, I think that she's been surpassed by some other people. So at this point in her career, she's already been the champion multiple times. She can start working a jobber career and kind of transition into more of like a backstage trainer. That's my philosophy. Who wants to go next?
Callum can go next.
Yeah, I'll take it. Oh, thank you very much. Just throwing me out there.
Yeah.
Anyone that's listened to me enough on this podcast knows that I'm not a big fan of Naomi. I think she's wildly overrated in both character-wise and wrestling ability. She's extremely athletic, but it takes more than that to be an actual good wrestler. And I think a lot of the stuff she does looks quite phony and fake. I know it's obviously meant to be that, but you're not supposed to look at it and think, oh, she's not actually kicking that girl or something like that. I don't like her that much compared to the other 5 women left on the list. So I'd make her, but I still think with her athleticism and undeniable popularity with certain groups of fans, it's probably worth keeping her on the roster in a jobber capacity.
I'm going to piggyback off that and go, my jobber is also Naomi because, listen, she got the title run. She's, as far as the women in this match is concerned, very much a throwback to the butterfly belt days, which I cannot stand. She is very popular. She does have a great entrance and a great character in that perception, but her place is likely as a jobber from here on out. And as far as this particular match is concerned, she got the trophy at WrestleMania, so, she had her big moment for the year. She can be a jobber for the foreseeable future. True.
I did forget that she did win that title, not the title, that match at Mania.
How could you forget?
I mean, they only showed that trophy like one more time afterwards.
Well, could you blame them? Look at
it. Yeah, she won the golden uterus.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, come on, it was kind of funny.
I think she got it fitted into her. Like she placed her old uterus with the golden.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna go with Lana for my jobber because hey, you gotta get started somewhere. So, gotta work your way up, kid.
So we're kind of crapping on Naomi a little bit here. She's my lower mid-carder.
I like Naomi, so
I really I couldn't figure out, like, between Naomi and Natalya, they were kind of going in that jobber mid-card, lower mid-card range to me, and I looked at the 4 people that were left outside of Naomi, and I thought, I can't put Naomi higher than any of them. So the only reason I put Naomi a spot up above Natalya is because Naomi is more fun to watch to me. Like, her in-ring work is a little bit more energetic, and her promo work is not fantastic all the time and stuff like that, but she at least has like the entrance, and she's kind of fun like that. Like, Natty tends to come out and just have like a sourpuss face or talks about her cats, and between the two, lower mid card and jobber, there's not the biggest gap, and I'll just give Naomi that spot.
Well, let me tell you, between the two, there's not that big of a gap, and my lower mid carder is Natalya. Reason being, even though in the very near future she might have a bit of a bump in her character and in her use on TV because of the Ronda thing, I don't see Natalya breaking out of the lower mid-card range for longer than however long this Ronda feud will be. So she is a great hand, and she's always got a job there. That's a guarantee. So she's my lower mid-carder.
Yes, I have her in my lower mid card as well. She's kind of like the workhorse of the women's division in a way. You could put her up there, put her in a match with a new talent, and you know that she's going to do a good job helping at least put them over. So lower mid card seems like the best role for her right now, and that's probably where she's going to go after, like you said, with her whatever you want to call it with Rousey.
I'll make that a three-peat then.
Wow.
Natalya in my lower mid card. The thing that I think she has over Naomi in this sense is she has more credibility, in the sense that I think her title reign, even though it wasn't exactly spectacular, I think it was stronger than Naomi's one. I think she's been around a lot longer, so she has a bit more of a veteran stance. And her partnership with Ronda Rousey means that she can't really be too far down the card in my eyes. Otherwise, it makes Ronda look bad if she's teaming up with essentially a fall guy. And obviously Natalya will be the person that needs to lose tag team matches that they have or anything along those lines, but she still needs to have a certain amount of credibility or gravitas about her to keep her above a certain level of people that you'd probably put like your Naomi's, your Liv Morgan's, Sarah Logan's, that type of person, Dana Brooks.
Poor Natalya and Naomi, man. They well, I guess not poor. They didn't get the worst two spots, but that is kind of interesting when that happens, where like
they still got jobs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially even Natalya. I put her as my jobber, so it's in the title description.
To go for me, so.
What's that?
I still have Naomi left on my board, so I'm.
Oh, you didn't put her down in there? I thought you did.
No, I put Natalya. I have Lana in from my release. Remember, I have Becky Lynch at my.
No, for the jobber in the lower mid card.
No, he had Lana and Natty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Naomi's still on the board for him.
Wait, who is your jobber, Drew?
My jobber is Lana.
Huh.
It goes erased, Becky, released, Ember,
then Lana.
Jabba.
Yeah.
Lana Jabba, as I just call it for some reason.
Lana Jabba.
Slava Lana Jabba.
Don't worry, everybody. If you're as confused as I am, we're going to recap this at the end.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us up to mid-card. And this is where I have to start jumping on the Becky Lynch bandwagon. Between Sasha and Charlotte and Alexa, I consider Becky Lynch the best option for mid-card. I think that's kind of where she currently is on the roster, as like it's hard to tell with the women's roster because they don't have the range as the men do, because they just don't have as many people. So there's a lot more like influx kind of idea to the whole roster. But right now I think Becky kind of is a mid-carder, and it suits her well enough. I like Becky. I don't think that she certainly gets as much credit as I think she deserves sometimes. Maybe she does get a little bit too much sometimes too, but I'd put her in the mid card. I think that given the last three people, I'd rank her fourth. Who wants to go with mid card?
My mid card is Alexa Bliss. Simple reason being, Alexa's had a great, I think about a 2-year run, right? On top of both brands. So now she can take a step back a little bit, kind of be in that mid-card heel staple role for, a good 6 months or maybe even longer until they're ready to build her up again. And really, there was not much else room. And since she's had the most love recently, I decided to keep her in the middle of the card.
I went with Sasha Banks. The reason why I'm going to go with her here is because I was debating between her and Naomi. And the thing that put Naomi over her really is I've enjoyed Naomi's run as champion over the past year and a half, and her winning her WrestleMania match over what Sasha Banks has really done in the past year and a half, because I just think she's kind of tapered off. I can't recall the last time she's put on a really, really good match. And this isn't, so much shitting on her, because I think Sasha Banks is probably one of the best women's wrestlers WWE's ever had. I just would rather see the other three people as champion right now over her. They need to do something with her character. It's kind of lackluster at this point. Yeah. And hopefully they could figure it out with like Bayley, with this whole Bayley feud, but they'll probably fuck it up because they fuck everything up.
They already have fucked it up.
Yeah,
exactly.
They fucked it up a long time ago.
Yeah. So let's see if they fuck it up anymore than it already is.
And they had their out this week too, where it was like, how about you just hug it out and we move on to something else? And then they're like, no. And it's like, God fucking damn it, you're continuing this. Where's Constable Corbin? Come in there and just be like, this is bullshit. I felt really strange adding him to my list of authority figures for the year. I've got like William Regal and this Johnny Saint guy and, Kurt Angle and stuff, and then it says Constable Corbin, and I'm like, oh, what the hell?
I've got a C word for Corbin, and it's not Constable. But we'll move on past that one. Leave that up in the air.
Let's see, it's Chrysanthemum.
What the fuck?
What the fuck, Tony?
So anyway, I decided to put Alexa Bliss in the mid card.
Thank you, Callum. Thank you for agreeing with me.
Boo.
It's similar along the lines of what Robert's saying. Alexa Bliss has been on top for 2 years. I kind of want to change.
It's her joke.
It's I'm not going to say anymore after that. I think that's the best way. No, I'll just say that she's very good. She's very good on the microphone, and she has far more character than most of the women on the roster at this point in time. But it's just a case of, well, you've been champion for so long. Maybe it's time to give someone else the opportunity to rise up. And frankly, the other three people that I have left on my list are better wrestlers than she is. And I'm kind of at a point now with the women's rosters, especially as the way they are now, that I kind of want wrestlers to be on top of the division as opposed to characters.
Well, that's why you're not going to hear from me next about Alexa Bliss, because she's not my upper mid-carder. My upper mid-carder is Sasha Banks, primarily for the reason of I don't like her promos. I'm so sick and tired of Sasha promos. It's the same thing every single time. It's just she looks down and to the left or up and to the right or whatever. She needs to look away from whoever she's talking to. She laughs, scoffs at whoever is challenging her, talks about how like this is her dream and that kind of thing. And she's essentially stuck in a rut. And I really think that she is, if they use her well, definitely one of the best women's wrestlers. But she's also been making these weird mistakes where she's like trying to hurt herself. And that's kind of concerning to me. And you give somebody a title reign 4 times, and all 4 times you make her lose it right afterward, kind of hurts her credibility to me. So at this point, I don't want to listen to her promos. I'm getting a little bit concerned about the way that she handles herself in the ring. And I don't buy her being the person that could like withstand holding a title and like maintaining that brand. So she gets the upper mid card to me because I still think if you're going to give somebody a title, that's going to be in the main event spot. And we'll get to that when we get to that. But upper mid card, you got a little bit of flexibility on that. So we've got a wide range of different people still left in here. So this will be interesting. I'm pretty sure nobody's going to agree with me on this one. Who wants to go next?
You had Alexa Bliss, right?
No. Tony had. Where's Alexa Bliss for you, Tony?
Main
You
event.
said Alexa Bliss.
Oh, my bad, man. I'm so fucking sorry. I didn't want you to fucking ruin it. You could have just said no. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. This is impossible to keep track of anyway.
I'm so sorry.
Sasha Banks is my upper mid carder.
Okay.
You want to go?
I don't know. I thought you. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, go.
No, you go ahead, Drew.
Since I already ruined this, since I already railed this to the ground, I'll go ahead and just let's see. I'm so sorry. Okay, I had
It's not that big of a deal.
Here.
Let's call the spot.
I thought you said Alexa Bliss because I had Alexa Bliss, and I was just gonna be like, "Well, you're not alone, Tony." But nope, you are. And I had Alexa Bliss because she's just been on top for like 2 years, and I would rather see 2 other people as champion right now.
So it's the same stuff as the mid card.
Yes.
All right, Drew's in a giggly mood today. Robert or Callum, who do you guys have for your upper mid carder?
All right, my upper mid card, breaking away from what everyone else said, is Ember Moon, because I think that she is one of the best in ring, and I can agree that she's been slightly underwhelming, but I think that she's only on the rise, and maybe the Money in the Bank briefcase, if she wins it, might even help her, but I definitely see her as an upper mid-carder moving towards the main event real soon.
Round us out, Callum.
Oh, well, it's going to be 4 completely different ones then, because my upper mid-carder is Becky Lynch. You know, all those people that talk about how Becky's underrated and she doesn't get the level of treatment with WWE that she deserves. I'm one of those people. Becky Lynch is immensely talented. She's a very good wrestler. She's so popular because you just get a sense of, if most people had been given the treatment that she's been given in the way that she's been booked on SmackDown. I mean, look at Bayley as an example. People never thought that Bayley could get fucked up to the level that her popularity just drops and drops and drops, to the point where she's booed during promos. Becky's never suffered from that problem, despite having similar booking. She's had a championship run, but it was cut short very quickly because they decided to push full steam ahead with the Alexa Bliss experiment, which proved to be very successful. But I think Becky's due another push towards the championship.
I agree.
And so I'd put her in the upper mid-card because she's always someone that could challenge for the title. I think she's has that level of credibility and goodwill with the fans that she can always be a perennial challenger for a heel champion. But I also think that she could become champion as well going forward, at least for one more run with the belt.
And that's partially why I decided to erase her. It's just because I'm tired of seeing her do that. Because that's essentially what she's been since she lost the title to Alexa Bliss back in 2016.
I do agree with that sentiment to an extent, but I go along the lines of, in a time where WWE find it so difficult to make good baby faces, if you've got one, you need to make the most of them.
She likes puns, so I can't erase her.
I will say, with all these ladies other than Charlotte, if WWE booked all of them better, just did an okay job booking in them, all of them would be immensely better. And so, I don't know. Yeah,
it's a good crop. That's what makes these lists so difficult. Because I mean, we've done Call the Spots in the past where it's been like one of the easy ones was the Valentine's Day list where we had Val Venus and The Godfather, Big Daddy V, Mark Henry, and Great Khali, and it was all right, you could just fuck around, whatever,
What did you guys used to do on this website,
dude?
Oh, that made sense.
They were all podcast.
They were all the lover type of gimmicks for Valentine's Day.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah, you know.
You can't shit on that, dude.
But it's like
if you want to shit on anything, shit on Finisher versus Finisher Spear Edition.
I mean, that was back in the time when the podcasts didn't have to just do a pay-per-view recap every 2 weeks. So
yeah, so we had a little bit more flexibility too.
Those were
We
the days
could,
where as soon as we were down of Salem or something like that. For
We could bullshit
5
and
hours.
make up some horrible running jokes. Speaking of Bailey, though, man, like, how bad is it that we've got 8 women in a Money in the Bank ladder match, and we've got 2 championship matches, and Bailey's not on the card? Isn't that
I guess
bad?
there's no better time to get into it because I was going to try not to, but Drew was talking about Becky being the weak link of the 4 horsewomen. Look at the one that's not on the card anywhere on this show.
That's a
the
fair
weak link.
argument. That's a fair argument, but I still, if I, to be completely honest with you though, Robert, if I were to put, if we were to make this 9 people for some reason, and Tony had to go through the effort of coming up with another spot because we just really hated him, I would put Bailey as my main eventer because I still really like her, and she's always been my favorite female wrestler since she debuted in NXT. So. That's never changed. I bought into the gimmick. It's fantastic.
God damn, I really hope that we don't have to do a 9 list because I can't think of anything else to fit in this.
Well, instead of the Chris Benoit treatment, you could do the Nancy Benoit treatment.
Oh, fuck.
Which was lower though?
It gotta be the one. That
I don't know. I guess that's the
open for
debate.
Interpretation. Yeah.
There's a loophole for it probably somewhere. Anyway, so there's no transition to this, but fuck it, Alexa Bliss is my main eventer. And it's mostly because of her mic work, because she is so. What's that?
She's been killing it on the mic.
She is the best woman on the mic, easily, and she has been able to control 2 years worth of Raw and SmackDown for the women's division just on her mic skills. She's not the best in the ring. But when you have a champion that can propel a bunch of feuds based off of her mic skills the way that she has, it's better, I think, than if you have a champion that can only wrestle. And somebody like a Sasha Banks, to me, I don't think her mic skills are on par. And after like one feud that would suck, I would want a new champion. With Alexa, even if her matches aren't really great, I'm still entertained by the feud. Like this Nia Jax feud that went on, I don't know what the hell they're going to do in the future with this whole thing, because it seems like Nia is like kind of a heel, kind of a face, doesn't really matter. They're moving on to something else sort of thing. But at least with Alexa and the whole like bullying type thing, I liked it. And the match itself, I don't fucking remember it, but I remember the feud. Like, you know what I mean?
I remember their Mania match. Their Mania match was better.
It went on longer than I expected it to. That's all I remember about it. But I don't remember liking it or disliking it.
Oh, it's the actual Nia Jax squashing Alexa Bliss and Alexa like poking her eye every once in a while. That's what that match was.
When it comes to the main eventer, to me, I think that I'm playing a little bit into WWE's hand where they spend a lot of time with promos and they drag these feuds out. And even though certain people could be really good as champions for particular matches, you got to live with them for weeks and weeks and weeks of just talking and shit. So that's why Alexa gets that top spot to me, other than the Hall of Fame spot, which, since we've been able to lose track of things.
Unanimous spot when we get to that, by the way.
It might be, yeah. But since this is an easier thing for us to lose track of, I'm not going to do my usual thing. Usually it's like, let's just do the main event in Hall of Fame because we know what the answers are, but we'll see. I mean, you probably know what it is anyway. Main eventer is Alexa Bliss for me. I think I'm the only one that has her on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so Callum, go with you first. Main eventer, who do you got?
You turn her heel, and Sasha Banks is the best you've got in the business. Sasha Banks, as a heel, has proven her time in NXT and a start of her time in WWE, can be so much better on her promos. She can show so much more attitude, so much more flamboyance in the ring, and she'll put on better matches than any other woman on that roster. And I know I've just said Rob's piece as well for him, but I know you want to talk about Sasha as well. But I under no illusions that Sasha Banks is one of the best, if not the best, women's wrestler on the roster.
I will say for Sasha, if Sasha was heel in Alexa Bliss's role on SmackDown from 2016 to when she went to Raw, I think she would have been way better off and would have done a way better job than Alexa Bliss.
And it's no shade on Alexa Bliss for that, but
no, it's not.
It's just a sense
Sasha's a really good heel.
Yeah, it's just the sense that Sasha has obviously the same heel mannerisms. Maybe Alexa Bliss is better on promos. I do agree with you, Tony, that Sasha does have the little thing where she just looks off in the wrong direction every now and again. But so Alexa would be slightly better on promos, but Sasha Banks just is leaps and bounds better than her in the ring.
I don't disagree with that. She's better in the ring for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just going back to my thing of talking about. I want the women's wrestlers to be wrestlers at this point in time. I think it works better into the current. If you're trying to do an actual women's evolution, you should be trying to focus more on the actual wrestling side of things.
So, Rob, you're Sasha as well?
Sasha Banks is the best female performer that company has, period. She's top 3 best performers the company has, male or female. Sasha Banks is that good. I think the issue that's going on with Sasha Banks right now is she's starting to get into that female Ziggler role. And I've said this before, where it's like, everybody talked about how good she was, and I think you got a little taste of it, but more new people were coming in, so she was kind of fading into the back. And with the way that I agree with you on one thing, Tony, she is wrestling a very hectic,
hazardous,
no regard for one's health kind of style. And the thing that scares me about that is they're not pulling the trigger on her with like a real long title run. And I think when they try to, it might be a case of a Daniel Bryan in 2014, where, all right, you're finally going to go with them, and now they can't go because they've been trying to kill themselves to get to that spot. But Sasha Banks is the best performer that company has, bar none. The only reason I knew that women's wrestling was going to be okay on a main stage is because Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and an NXT TakeOver Unstoppable, still the best women's match I've ever seen. And she is my main event.
So we got a vote for Alexa, 2 for Sasha. Drew, where are you standing?
Well, I'm going to go with Charlotte. And I'm going to go with Charlotte because I don't want to see her as champion. It's just like I'm fine with, or what is this, Hall of Fame now? I mean, yeah, she's going to be in Hall of Fame someday, but like, I want Naomi to be in the Hall of Fame someday too, bro. So I want to put Naomi at the very, very top.
Well, all of these women, I think, are Hall of Famers except for potentially Lana and Ember Moon, depending on where they go.
Isn't that kind of crazy that you're having a Money in the Bank match with like 7 future Hall of Famers potentially? Or
no, I think
6
that's
at
a
least.
good thing because that means that they're credible, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you look at this year's Money in the Bank for the women, Alexa wins, okay. Sasha wins, makes sense. Naomi wins, okay. Natalya wins, I actually currently have her down as my potential favorite. Becky wins, I wouldn't disagree with it. Charlotte wins, wouldn't disagree with it. Ember wins, and it becomes like, oh cool, they're giving it to the rookie. Lana wins, and then everybody goes, what the fuck?
Carmella 2.0. Yeah, that's true. I was going to say something, but now I do not remember what it was I was going to say. Oh, it's about Charlotte.
Which means that the three of us were all putting the queen on top.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Charlotte's the Hall of Fame. I mean, she could retire now and she'd be a Hall of Famer.
But I would argue, same thing for Sasha. It's just Charlotte is more of a damn fire sure thing.
Well, I go more on the sense that Sasha's career is still great, and she still has had a lot of great matches, but you know that Charlotte is like a cornerstone of not just the women's division, but in WWE in general. Like, you take her out of it, and it feels like you take Sasha out, and obviously you lose a lot of match quality. But I think if you take Charlotte out at this point in time, it's a hole that you can't fill at this point. I don't think anybody could matches the personality, the credibility, the in-ring ability, promo skills, all that combination. I don't think anyone could fill that gap immediately if Charlotte was to just go away at this point.
The only reason why I didn't really put Charlotte in my Hall of Fame spot was I've said too much negativity. I've said too many negative things about her over the years that, number one, it doesn't make sense. I can't do a whole full face turn on this one.
You can't disagree with old Drew.
Yeah,
there's still a bit of old Drew in you.
Yeah, old Drew. Some things stay the same, but some things never change, which is the same thing.
So who's your Hall of Famer then, Drew?
Oh, Naomi, because I looked at this list more of what would I like to see, and out of all these things, and I'm not kidding. If out of all these people, I would have most likely liked to see Becky Lynch disappear, because I think hers, other than maybe Ember Moon's, based on what Callum said earlier, I think her career is least consequential, and nothing really important or bad happens because she disappears. And with Naomi, I've always thought that if they book her correctly, she could have always been a top star. I think she has a very, very good look. She does a lot for the company. She wrestles better now than she did previously, and I'm really happy that they gave her her title run last year, and they gave her a win at WrestleMania this year. But if they were to do more with her, I wouldn't be mad. I just enjoy her, and also I get why kids like her. I like the dancing and the neon thing. I like her theme. I just like everything about her pretty much now, so I give her a thumbs up.
All right, so let's do our recaps here. Drew, bottom and the top, what do you got?
Oh, I have no idea.
With
you. So for the Crispin Who treatment, I got Becky Lynch. I released Ember Moon. I jobbered Lana, and then lower mid card went to my homie Natalya, and then next went Sasha Banks, and then went Alexa Bliss, and then Charlotte, and then our homie Naomi at the very top.
Homie Naomi?
The homie Naomi, the squad Naomi.
That rhymes. Callum, what's your recap?
My recap is I erased Ember Moon from history. I made Lana released, but only as a wrestler. Naomi the jobber. Natalya the lower mid-carder. Alexa Bliss mid-card. Becky Lynch upper mid-card. Sasha Banks main event. Charlotte Hall of Fame.
Rob?
I erased Lana. I released Becky. Naomi is my jobber. Natty stays in the lower mid-card. Alexa Bliss stays firm in my mid-card. Upper mid-card goes to the rookie Ember Moon. Main event, Sasha Banks, Hall of Fame, goes to the Queen.
And I have been swayed. I am switching up. I'm erasing Ember Moon instead of Lana. And then that means I'm releasing Lana. Jobber Natalya, lower mid-card Naomi, mid-card Becky Lynch, upper mid-card Sasha Banks, main event Alexa Bliss, and Hall of Famer Charlotte Flair. But she can only go in once. None of this two-time Hall of Famer bullshit. I don't understand that with Ric Flair.
Do you think Ric Flair goes in the Hall of Fame for a third time for giving birth to... Well, for birthday.
At this point, I wouldn't put it past them. I really don't understand. How is he in there twice? Like, that's making... whatever. Yeah, so... with this and with our other one, make sure you leave your comments below. Tell us what your list is and what you think about our list. Is it like, wow, you guys are crazy. Why are you releasing this person instead of that? Or how could you put this person in the upper mid card? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever the case may be. But if you're on iTunes and Stitcher, just hold on a second. We'll be back with the other one. If you're on YouTube, click on the next video and we will get into the men's participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So stay tuned for that, everybody. We'll see you there.